Here we go. Welcome. Got a good video for you today. I'm going to show you an awesome cemetery of a homestead. First one in the area. Super cool place. And man, they got an incredible cemetery. You've never seen this. You're about to be blown away. They had like 40 people buried here. Cemetery. Way over here. So it's a good walk through the woods. It's beautiful. I think they said 40 people buried here once upon a time. And I don't know why, but they come here and removed all the headstones that were not the Bailly family. And they have them in a warehouse, which is crazy. I'd love to go over there and see that. But man, you think they would respect it. Well, they didn't. They didn't take, remove the people. So they're still there. But you wouldn't know it.
The Bailly Cemetery is located approximately 3/4 of a mile north of the Joseph Bailly Homestead in Westchester Township at the base of a sand ridge in the center of northeast quarter of Section 27. It is the oldest white burial ground in Porter County. It has been recorded that Joseph Bailly buried his son, Napoleon B. Robert Bailly, here in 1827. It has also been recorded that Native Americans first used the site for the burial of their dead. Though skeletons have been uncovered at the cemetery site of numerous occasions, they have also been reburied without a determination of their race. Hence, it has not been conclusively determined whether Bailly Cemetery was originally a sacred Indian burial ground. After Napoleon B. Robert Bailly's burial in 1827, the site essentially became a family graveyard. Although burials of individuals unrelated to the Baileys are numerous, for instance, it is known that several Swedish residents of the area are buried in the cemetery in unmarked graves. In addition, 8 tombstones have been found outside and adjacent to the present cemetery walls. 4 of these tombstones contain date inscriptions preceding Napoleon B. Robert Bailly's date of burial in 1827. Given the evidence, it appears likely that Joseph Bailly buried his son in a pre-existing cemetery rather than establishing a new cemetery site.
Little mud ain't never killed nobody. Well, unless you drowned it in it, but, Hope it don't get too bad back here. All right, let's zoom through a little bit.
In 1866, Rose Bailey Howe, Joseph Bailly's daughter, enclosed the cemetery area with a wooden fence. She specifically requested that her neighbors, mostly being Swedish immigrants, to discontinue using the cemetery for burials and to remove their dead relatives. In fact, during Rose Bailey Howe's absence on an extended trip with her daughters to Europe between 1869 to 1874, at least 3 Swedish immigrants are known to have been interred in the cemetery. Reportedly distressed by the fact that her neighbors did not comply with her request concerning burials in the cemetery, Rose Bailey Howe had a 6-foot limestone wall constructed on the site in 1885, topped with iron spikes.
All right, let's get it creepy. This is amazing. I want you to see it from a distance. All right, check this out.
The inside of the wall included stations of the cross placed inside wooden cabinets mounted in limestone, as well as an altar at the southeast corner. In 1914, Frances Rose Howe, daughter of Rose, had Theodore Stevens of nearby Chesterton erect a concrete block wall around the 1867 wall to control entry into the cemetery.
Next to Joseph, we got Marie and Joseph, right there. Frances Howe, Rose Bailly, his wife. She died 1891, 1850.
At this time, stairs were erected on the north side of the cemetery and an ornamental railing installed on the original 1867 wall. The plaques installed in 1867 were moved from the inside of the wall to the outside of the wall, and the interior of the enclosed wall area was filled with sand. During the 1914 renovations and construction, numerous graves were uncovered and reportedly moved just outside of the new construction. From a historical perspective, it should be noted that Frances Rose Howe's attitude and behavior toward local residents was not harmonious, which may have been an outcome associated with the Bailly cemetery's use by individuals outside her family. Interestingly, despite the Bailly's family historical significance to Northwest Indiana, there are only brief mentions of the Bailly and Howe families published in the Chesterton Tribune during the late 1800s and early 1900s.
You know, this is Indiana Lakeshore property now. And they come in here and removed all these tombstones. It ain't the Bailly family, which is shocking to me. It's crazy. Talk about disrespect. Look at this right here. Here's a grave right here. You know, I heard they came and took the tombstones out, but look how they took them out. They just broke them off. Look at that. Man, talk about disrespect. I can't believe that. I mean, that's just shocking to me. I mean, regardless if they're Bailly family or not, I mean, give them respect. I mean, they were here, the Bailly family, and around no more.
Overwhelmingly, painting the family somewhat negatively, other historical evidence clearly supports the strained relationship between the Bailly Howe family and area residents. Despite Frances R. Howe's perception and general disregard for the historian, Skinner was likely to have been keenly aware of the historical developments of Porter County. Mention of Skinner's 1878 history is made in the 1912 History of Porter County, Indiana, where it is written that although Skinner's history is a small work, it shows much careful research and investigation. It is worthwhile to note that while Miss Howe was a granddaughter of one of Porter County's most prominent settlers, it is estimated that she spent much less than one half of her life in Porter County. Most notably, she was part of a much higher social class than only a handful of Porter County residents could claim. In this regard, Frances R. Howe was likely to be a very disconnected member of the general society and culture of Porter County. In fact, as previously mentioned, it is documented that animosity existed between local residents and the Howe family and was carried through for nearly a half a century after Frances Rose Howe's death.
There was, I read somewhere there was one of the graves were marked by graveyard myrtle, they called it, graveyard myrtle. So I never heard of that. And of course, I looked it up, and it's a plant. But this type of weather, we ain't gonna see that.
For instance, the December 28, 1957 issue of the Vidette Messenger, published in Valparaiso, Porter County, Indiana, quotes Earl Reed of the Duneland Historical Society as stating, "Old antagonisms toward the Bailly family by old settlers is gradually dying out, as the old-timers drop off one by one. Perhaps the present generation will encourage a history of the old Bailly family without letting minor irritations of pioneer days influence their thinking."
Look at this. This is heartbreaking. This ain't right. At least 4 graves here. All 4 of the stones snapped off. They literally broke them off. That is just shocking to me. This is, these are probably babies. There's one for sure. Right in the corner there, I believe.
Of course, there is no doubt that the Baileys did assume an upper bracket status in the early days, but that is part of history, not an excuse to bury the memory of Porter County's first settler, who came here with his family in 1822. Even Frances R. Howe's death notice, published in January 24, 1917, issue of the Porter County Vidette, suggests a rather clear disconnect between Howe and the local community. Her death notice reads in part, "She has been away from her Baileytown home for a long time. She had built her own chapel in which she worshipped, and her home was so private that few of her neighborhood even saw its interior."
I need somebody to come with. Okay, insert violin music here. If I only had somebody to come with.